Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is important that we realize how the West got into this present situation. It's partly our own fault because we have foolishly adopted the ideology of multiculturalism. And when I say multiculturalism, I refer to cultural relativism, the biggest disease of political correct Europe and perhaps even America today. Multiculturalism or cultural relativism is the crazy idea that all cultures are equal. But of course, cultures are not equal. I'm proud to say, I'm not ashamed, but I'm proud to say that our culture, that is based on Christianity, on Judaism and humanism, is far better, yes, is far superior to the Islamic culture. We should not be afraid, but we should be proud to say so. Ladies and gentlemen, cultural relativism, this disease, the political correct disease, is weakening the West day by day. Government leaders, lawyers, judges, churches, trade unions, media, academia, charities, all of them are blinded by political correctness and are condoning Islam. And as a result of this cultural relativism, a little bit of the free West, we should realize it every day again, a little bit of the free West dies every day. Multiculturalism is a disaster. Multiculturalism has been such an enormous catastrophe because it has been a tool to promote Islam, an ideology that threatens our core values such as tolerance. Multiculturalism has made us open our borders to those who cannot be assimilated. It made us tolerate the intolerant. And now intolerance is annihilating tolerance. Ladies and gentlemen, we should, in the name of tolerance, claim the right, claim finally the right not to tolerate the people who are intolerant to us anymore. We should, in the name of self-preservation, not allow those who refuse to assimilate to our values, not to their values, but to our values, to enter our countries anymore. My dear friends, I'm not a pessimist. We can still turn the tide, even in Europe, if we act today. And there are 4 measures that we must take. First, perhaps the most important, we must tell people what is at stake. In Western Europe, freedom of speech is being restricted at the demand of the friends of Islam and their collaborators. If Christianity in Europe today, if someone insults Christianity, it's called a form of art. But if someone criticizes Islam, it's called hate speech. That is the reality today. And there is reason for concern if the erosion of our freedom of speech is the price we must pay to accommodate Islam. There is reason for concern if those who deny that Islam is the problem do not grant us the right to debate the issue and speak the truth. And this is our first and most important obligation. Defend the right to speak what we see as the truth. That is why we in Europe need to follow America's example and introduce a European First Amendment. But once we have the right to speak, once we have the right to speak the truth, we need to use that right. The letter is also a message to you in America. Speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's not politically correct, even if the liberal media will kill you, even if you receive death threats. The truth can and may never be compromised. Second, we must, as I said, end cultural relativism. We should not be afraid to say who we are and to know and to say who we are not. We must proudly proclaim that our Judeo-Christian values are better and superior than the Islamic values. Thirdly, we should stop the Islamization process. More Islam means more intolerance and more Sharia and less freedom. We must stop the immigration from Islamic countries. We must expel criminal immigrants. And last but not least, we should forbid the construction of new mosques. There is Islam. There is enough Islam in the West already. And fourth, we must take pride in our nations again. We must demand that immigrants accept our values and not the other way around. What we call home, ladies and gentlemen, what we call home is more than just a place on the map. It is our belonging to a community of values, a community of ideas and ideals. And my friends, you and I, Americans and Europeans, we belong to a common Western culture. We share the values and ideals of our common heritage. And in order to preserve our nations and our homes, and in order to pass our heritage on to our children, in order to survive, we must stand together. Otherwise, we will be submerged in a uniform nation of Islam, and this is what we do not want to happen. So we must defend our civilization. Ronald Reagan said that the future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. And Reagan was right. President Reagan was right. We must be brave or we will be swamped by totalitarianism. It's indeed a constant struggle that we are into to preserve our faith, our family, our freedom. But we owe it to our children. And this is why I believe that we must stand firm. We will not submit to Islam, never. We will survive with our own ideology, with our own Judeo-Christian heritage. We will defend our values. We will speak the truth. And why will we speak the truth? Because we stand for the truth and because the truth will set us free. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Take a couple of questions.
Sure.
Geert Wilders, Geert Wilders. You will long remember this afternoon at Summit 2012 when this man of courage, this hero of freedom and of Western civilization came across the Atlantic to bear his witness and give his warning. Bravo, Geert Wilders.
Thank you.
This good and brave man who shrinks from absolutely nothing does not shrink from your questions, of course. If we can bring the lights up and go to the microphone so that those watching on TV or the internet can be in the conversation, please identify yourself and we'll take just a few questions. Who's first?
Me.
Please. You have the floor. I'm not seeing you.
Over here. Over here. This side.
Please.
Joe from Act for America. We as ACT, we always do the same exactly like you're doing, which is I felt myself talking over there. So I know what you feel and I know what happened because I'm from Lebanon. Now, we are seeing mosques in this country growing like mushrooms. Now, the biggest mosque, by the way, for everybody, is coming to Fort Collins. The biggest mosque in Middle America, into Fort Collins. Now, what do you think we have to do to stop building these mosques other than resistance?
Well, like I said, and I fully, let me start with that. I have a lot of respect for ACT for America. It's a very good and strong organization with Gabrielle heading it. The first thing people should do is educate people what a mosque stands for. A lot of people think that Islam is a religion and not a violent ideology, and people believe that the mosque is something like, a lot of people believe the mosque is something like a church or a synagogue. Well, we know that it is not. So educate people what the mosques, what the Islam stand for. This is A. B, what you should do, and this perhaps is the most important and most difficult thing to achieve, is elect politicians that are brave enough to say enough is enough, no more mosques in my constituency. It's the most important thing to do, which doesn't mean that it will be realized tomorrow, but it's a very important step. And like I said, those politicians or those organizations like Act for America will get a lot of people being very nasty, a lot of journalists saying the most terrible things. People, Muslim organizations will perhaps even take you to court, being intimidated. It's called the legal jihad, the legal warfare, to silence people who try to stand up and speak the truth about no more mosques or no more Sharia law whatsoever. Please continue. It's the only way to fight the process of Islamization in our societies.
Thank you.
Over here, please.
Pastor Heidi McGinnis, Christian Solidarity International. Herzlich willkommen, Herr Wilders. For over 9 years, I have been going into South Darfur with South Sudanese Underground Railroad, negotiating the release of Christian slaves and others. Jihad is very real. And I think we need to be more than vigilant. I think we need to be proactive. I'm not sure that many of you in this room knew that jihad was declared in 1983 against the primarily Christian South. To this day, 35,000 men, women, and children are still enslaved in Darfur, in Kordofan, and in the north. Although Omar Hassan al-Bashir is wanted by the ICC, this administration has not delegitimized a genocidaire who is conducting not only a genocide in Darfur and in Kordofan currently for a year, and in the Blue Nile region, and I suspect the Beja people will be next, but actually perpetrated that